first graders, how are you? So I wanted to show you some of the plants that I got today and talk to you a little bit more about the different parts of a plant. So I went today and I was very safe. I wore my mask and kept my germs to myself, but I went today and I got some plants that I'm going to plant this weekend, and some plants that Mr. K is going to keep in a pot right here on our windowsill back here in our sunroom. So I'm going to show you some of the plants that I got. I got a sweet pepper plant, and so right now it's really short. It's not very tall yet, but once it finishes growing, it's going to grow banana peppers that look like this. And so this plant needs to be in full sunlight. That means I need to put it out in the middle of my yard where it's going to be able to get sunlight all day. I don't want to put it anywhere where there might be shadows during the day. I got a different kind of pepper plant here. This one is a little bit taller. Mr. K wanted to grow some herbs. Those are the different spices and things that we might put on our food. A lot of times when we use them in our kitchen, they might come in little plastic containers, or they might be in some of the shaker containers. But Mr. K wanted us to get some rosemary that he's going to keep back here on the windowsill. We got some oregano that we might put in our spaghetti. We got some thyme that we like to put on our chicken sometimes, or if we have steak ever. And we got some basil that I like to eat with tomatoes. And so these are all the plants that Mr. K and I are going to plant this weekend into new pots. And I also got something really cool. I got some flowers. These are called wind chimes, and this is what the flower is going to look like when it blooms, okay? But you can see the tiny buds right here, right before the flower blooms. So we're going to talk about the different parts of a plant, okay? So I'm going to scoot back here because I am going to take this plant out of the pot to be able to show you some of its roots. So I'm going to squeeze it out here so that you can see. So the part of the plant that's down in the soil is called the root. So you can see the roots of this plant. They're the little white lines that you can see. So all of those are the roots of the plant. And the roots of the plant are down in the soil, and they're really important for a few reasons. So they are important because the roots are what brings the water from the soil up into the plant. And we know that plants need water to survive. So the water travels through the roots up to the rest of the plant. The roots are also important because they help keep the plant in place. So think about the big windstorm that we had on Monday morning. It was really windy. Without the roots, the plant would just up and fly away. So roots help keep a plant in the ground. Really big plants like trees have really thick roots, and we can see them going down into the ground. But that is what keeps them in the same spot. But the most important thing that all of these roots do is bring water to the plant, okay? The plants also have stems. So these are the stems right here, these long green parts, and leaves. So the leaves are really important to a plant because the leaves are the biggest part of the plant that's turned towards the sun. And we know that plants need sunlight to survive. And so what happens is the leaves catch all of the sunlight and they absorb all of the sunlight, and the leaves are what makes energy for the plant. So we talked a little bit about that fancy science word photosynthesis. That's just talking about how a plant makes energy. So the leaves are really important because that's where the sunlight goes, and then the leaves are using that sunlight to make energy for the plant so that it can grow and do all of the things that it needs to do. And then on the end of the stems right here, we have the flowers. And these are not quite flowered yet, but you can see that the little bulbs are there and they're going to start to flower soon. And so I'm going to plant this weekend, and I'm going to keep checking back, and I'm going to see if my flowers start to grow. So let's review the parts of a plant. We have the roots at the bottom. We have the stem, so that's the water is carried through the stem from the roots. We have the leaves that take in sunlight to make energy, and we have the flower. And in some plants, after the flower comes fruit. So we talked about pumpkins, and we talked about how there was a flower, and then once the flower starts to go away, then the fruit or the pumpkin starts to come out of the flower. So sometimes other fruits or vegetables will come out of the plant after the flower has already blossomed. So BeatBox is really interested in these plants, so I'm going to have to take them outside and get them planted soon. But I will keep you updated, and I will let you know how our flower looks, how our peppers start growing. But make sure you remember the parts of the plant and why they are important. See you soon.